I left my family. I left my kids. I left my nightclubs, my parking company, $35 million to fight the fight.
So today, I know somebody's been calling you out on quite a few YouTube videos, and everybody's been messaging you, messaging us here at the show, messaging me sometimes. Address it.
So, you know what? You know I hate addressing these guys because they don't mean anything to me. They're kind of like gnats that I want to just, but they keep coming at you. They're annoying you. But I'm going to address it for people that are asking. I addressed it for people on Patreon, and I'll address it for the public on YouTube. So in 1996, I go to prison, and I get into a fight with Louis Arricchio. And me and Louis was a tough guy. Louis killed John DiGilio. He was involved. I mean, it's tough with his hands. He was a strong guy. He was a guy that was a wrestler in college. And just recently he passed away, so I don't want to say anything negative about the guy. Unfortunately, he passed away, and and I really do feel bad that he lost his life, and so did his mom. So that I want to say condolences to him. So when I left after that fight, I went to the hole, and when you get into a fight like that, they ship you out. He stayed, but they shipped me out, and they shipped me to McKean. So when I reach McKean, I get off the bus. My friend, Eddie Hannon's there, was a bank robber. And he's waiting for me off the bus. And we're talking, and I says, where you going? He goes, I'm in Unit 1A. And he says, I'm there with Patty Della Russo. Patty Della Russo was a guy I knew from the neighborhood. We were friendly, and they were cellmates. Another guy that was there was Richie Oliveri. They're all in that 1A unit. My other friend, Nino Polavecchio, he was also there, and he was in another unit. I think he was in Unit 2 or 3. And jail for us is a small community. It's like a college, for the people who don't know. All of us know each other. And the unit next door is Mikey Spinelli. They call him Baldy, who was also a friend of mine. He was a Lucchese guy on the gas pipe. He got convicted of 7 murders. So these are friends of mine from the street, not jail. And then in my unit was another guy, later on becomes a Bonanno skipper. He wasn't at the time. And his name was Anthony. They call him Skinny. So he's there. He's very friendly with another guy out of Manalapan, Joe Black. Joe Matteo, I believe his last name was. He was from Manalapan, regular guy, in his 50s at the time. Also in my unit was Ricky Jones, who I'm friends with from Junior Black Mafia from Philadelphia. His brothers are around the neighborhood. We all know each other. Besides him was Charlie Badalamenti, Joe Gambino, and Daryl Johnson, Butch, they called him, who was a friend of mine from Philadelphia, who was on death row. He ends up beating it, and we're very friendly. He comes out, he gets life now. So he's back in jail on a life sentence. Some of the other guys, Louis Andino from Maspeth, he's a GQ, they call him, was a Latin king, a very good friend of mine in prison in those days. James Perry, a bank robber out of Erie, PA, that got 27 years. He got into a shootout in a legitimate bank robbery, not going after boxes in a wall, but the armed robberies, and shot it out with the police. He's one of my cellmates. So to set up the situation, when I get off the bus, you have a young kid in those days in his 20s somewhere. And me and Eddie are walking. His nickname was Weasel. And I said, what's up, Weez? And we're walking, we're talking, we're joking, and I'm going to say hello to Patty first. And this kid says to me, he goes, how you doing? He put on the tough guy voice, and young kid, and I laugh, and I said, yeah, what's up? And he says, Jeannie says you got to come see him. So I says, yeah, all right. And he goes, well, Jeannie said. I go, Jeannie who? I knew he meant Gene Gotti. And I said, yeah, I'll be there when I go there. He goes, well, you want to see you now? This is how it started. And I told him, listen, kid, I don't know what you're doing with this guy. I says, you want to go for a round for him? Tell him you gave him a message to me. Now get out of here. I says, get lost. And then he stops. And he was thinking, should he be a tough guy or not? And I said to him again, buddy, I don't know you. Get the fuck away from me. I don't know how you do your time. If you're going to do it like a gopher for somebody, then, get lost. So he just shook his head and he left, and he went back and he told Jeannie. Now I go see Patty. I say hello. I go see Nino. I say hello. I go see Mikey Spinelli, and then I check into my unit, which happens to be the unit with Joe Gambino, Skinny, Ricky Jones, Junior Black Mafia, Daryl Johnson, Butch, who's my friend from, and these guys I know already. And some other guys that were there, like GQ and different guys. And I find out that Gene Gotti is selling with Jimmy Calandra. And Jimmy Calandra is, now there's all these guys I mentioned, we're all friends still. There's guys, Lee Whitley, that's there from Canada. Another guy, Mark Giuliani from Cherry Hill, that I still talk to. We're all friends. Everybody's in this jail. And these guys I'm mentioning now, I know from the street. So these aren't guys I just met in jail. Like Eddie Hannon, I grew up since we were kids. Patty Della Russo, I grew up since we're 14, 15. So when guys are talking about and throwing names out, these are my friends since I'm a younger guy. And some of them are active, some of them aren't active, some of them died since then. But there's a good probably 10 guys that are still alive that were there in those joints that know exactly what happened there. And when I get to the unit, I find out that Jimmy Calandra is getting up every morning and he's putting Gene Gotti's chair out for him so he can watch TV. Then when Genie's finished watching TV, he puts his chair out in the day room early in the morning so he can have coffee. And then when he gets up in the morning, he's got to clean Gene Gotti's cell. And when he needs commissary, he's got to go to the commissary and go pick it up for him. And if he needs to send somebody a message, he chases them to get a message. So initially, I don't like Jimmy Calandra at all. I look at him, I don't respect him. And, situations are going on in the prison that I'm really starting not to like him at all. And then eventually he has an argument with Gene Gotti over the way he's treating him because we start telling Jimmy, you're in jail, act like a man. Stop acting like somebody's bitch. I says, and behave yourself like a man. Stop running around being his do-boy. So he started getting pressure from the rest of us. And then eventually he moves out of the cell. And when he moves out of the cell, I'm with James Perry, and Jeannie says, come on, John, you know me since you're a kid. This kid's a punk, this, that, the other. He's giving me excuses why he didn't want to live with Jimmy. And he goes, come in the cell. And I says, Gene, I'll come in the cell, but I'm not Jimmy. I don't wake up till 10 in the morning. I don't care what time you wake up. I don't clean your cell. I don't go get your shit. I don't do this. I don't do that. And me and Jeannie agreed. Okay. So me and Jeannie are living together. Now, as far as before I got there, I don't know the situation. But when I get to the prison, Joe Gambino cooks. He cooks for lunch. He cooks for dinner. He makes fruit. He makes espresso. And he eats with him and Charlie Belafonte. Charlie Belafonte is a nice guy. Joe and Charlie, I believe, knew each other from the street. Now, Joe was from Cherry Hill also. He had a club called Valentino's, and he knew I had houses there. So we already knew of and what of each other, and we were friendly and whatever. So when we start eating, the only guys that ever ate with me at that jail was Gene Gotti, Joe Gambino, and myself. And once in a while, Jeannie would ask Joe, can you send Jimmy a dish? And Joe would curse up a storm and say, I'm not sending him anything. You want to stay with these jerk-off kids, blah, blah, blah. I don't, you didn't care for him. He says, I'll give you a dish. You do what you want with it. You want to give it to him, you give it to him. So that's how it ended up. Now, Gene Gotti was also staying as a best friend that he would walk around with Ali Calabrese. Ali Calabrese was a Cleveland guy, a bomb guy. They mention him in The Irishman for the people that don't know the movie The Irishman. And they say he was a gangster's gangster. And he used to walk with a little bit of a hop. Now, when we're there, Gene Gotti stays with him. Joe Gambino kind of stays to himself. Once in a while, he stays with Joe Badalamenti, and we play bocce all the time, all of us. Not Jeannie, but Joe does, I do. A couple of guys from Boston do. McCarthy was there. Billy from same unit as Patty. Pat Nee from Boston, he was there. Chucky Porter and his crew, Anthony DeMeo, who I talked to. By the way, the Marchese brothers were there. Danny was in the unit, who I still talk to. So these guys were all guys that were in my unit and, involved with us and played with us, bocce and stuff. But for some reason, Gene Gotti had the thing to let people know that Joe Gambino was his cook. And Joe Gambino was nobody's cook. He was nobody's sucker for the people that, I hear these dumb stories from. Joe Gambino was a gentleman that cooked because he enjoyed cooking. He fed us because we were all from the same crew, the Gambino family. The rest of the guys, he was hello, goodbye to. Jeannie stayed with Joe Black. Joe didn't bother with them. Joe didn't bother with any of these guys. Skinny was there. Skinny did his own thing, and he used to play handball with me and Nino. Me and Nino were partners. There was 2 other guys that we used to play against, 2 black guys, Warren and a guy, Jeff. They play us in doubles and handball almost every day. We were very friendly. Warren was a fighter. He was a trainer. He would train another guy, a black guy named Gene that fought Roberto Duran years earlier. Mark Verde from the Hells Angels from Cleveland. He was in the unit next door in 4B. He was very good friends with Pepe from the Angels. That was my good friend. And they would write each other back and forth about our relationship and friendship. So Mark got very friendly with me very fast because Pepe told him who I was and friendships and his sister and all that. So that's the formula of the unit, along with Sal De Laurentiis, that was also in the unit next door, who was a captain and claims he was the underboss, acting underboss at Chicago. Now, when the incident starts with Joe Gambino and Gene Gotti starts bad-mouthing Joe. Joe finds out it, and they have bad words. Well, I'm in the yard one day. Ramel, a Spanish kid from the Bronx, tough young kid, comes out to the yard and tells me, you better get inside. Your boys back and forth with Jeannie. They're pushing each other in the cell. They're going to go at it. And Joe called Jeannie, you piece of shit, low life, telling people about our family business, because Jeannie was having sit-downs with different guys from different crews, from different cities, and telling them mob business. And he's telling them that Joe's nothing. He's a captain, but he's a drug dealer, and he's calling him different things. Meanwhile, Jeannie's there for a 50-year heroin sentence. And he tried to belittle Joe, and what a lot of guys do. They try to belittle a guy to make themselves stronger. And then Jeannie tried to put his hands on Joe. Now, anybody knows anything about the mob, these days it doesn't matter. Guys are beating made guys, killing made guys. Nobody does nothing about it. But in our day, and especially back then, when Jeannie put his hands on Joe, made guy or not, he knows the rules. He can't put his hands on him. He's supposed to get killed for that, first. Second, he's not supposed to talk Cosa Nostra with nobody else. Not a black group, not a Spanish group, not another white group from another area. But yet he was talking to everybody about everything. And he's promising guys like Joe Black, who's still around probably, oh, I'll straighten you out when you go out. Jeannie couldn't even get a visit in McKean until I got there. He never got a visit before that. His brother ordered nobody to visit him, and Junior actually had the same order down, I believe, not to visit Jeannie at that time. And then he starts getting visits in 97. But prior to that, he wasn't getting visits. When he did this with Joe, I guess Jeannie's ego was bruised that Joe went back at him. And he went to Warren, the guy that I played handball with, and asked him to go to the Cleveland Blacks through Ali Calabrese. So Ali Calabrese brought the message to Warren. Warren brought it to his guys. And when Joe Gambino was walking around at night at McKean, they knifed up and put knives to Joe's stomach and neck, a couple of guys, while he was walking. It was very dark in McKean. It was snow up to your head. You're almost in tunnels. Joe comes back fuming that guys are trying to step to him to shake him down. So I said to Joe, I meet in his room, and I said, tell me what's going on. So he explains it to me. And I said, let me find out what's going on. So I start inquiring. And I said, Joe, don't say nothing to nobody. We'll take care of it. And as I inquire, I find out from Mark Verde and a couple other guys that Ali Calabrese stepped to Mark. Mark stepped to the Cleveland guys. And they passed messages. And they had them try to shake down Joe Gambino, unbeknownst to Mark who they were trying to shake down. They just wanted to get to one of the guys to talk to him. So when I meet with Mark, because I have Pep send them a letter through them, they write each other through a magazine. And he writes them, and me and Mark sit down, we talk, and now I know it's the Cleveland guys. So I grab Nino Paulavecchio, and I grab a couple other guys that are very active, still around the street and talking to different guys so people can check the story. And I grabbed Lee Whitley from Canada, who was doing 20 years. And I grabbed Danny Chris, who was around the purse, goes from the Bronx. He's a big young kid. And he's from the Bronx. He knows my friend Frankie G from the Bronx that's still around in Westchester. So these guys were all still in touch with each other and talking to each other. So if somebody wants to check the story out, here we go. And I say I'm living with Jeannie. He knows I don't get up till 10 in the morning. And I say to Jeannie, I'm getting up early in the morning. He goes, where you going, kid? I said, I'm going to go to breakfast early. He knows I don't go to breakfast. We go to the gym, me, Nino, Danny, and Lee Whitley. Ali Calabrese comes whistling in the gym, and we beat him half to death in the gym. We push him into the bathroom, and he goes out, and he never really recovers, and he died shortly after that in the street, in another joint. And I'm telling you, we gave him some beating. And any of these guys are all around that we gave him the beating. When we give him the beating, we go back to the unit, nobody talks, we never get locked up. And Jeannie knows we gave him the beating. And Jeannie says to me, what do I do now? I says, you can pretend that you gave the guy the beating. I really don't give a shit what you do. You disrespect this Bugatti again, I got to school you about the Gambino family. Now, Joe's very much alive, and he's around for the people who want to question, did this happen? Did we hurt the Ali Calabres? Did Jeannie do this stuff? And he ain't going to talk publicly. He'll talk to guys personally or lawyers or anything else. I said, so this is 100% accurate. After we finish this, Jeannie and Joe almost go at it again in the cell. And this time I go back in after Jeannie. I crack him, I slap him, I grab him by the throat, I hold him in his cell. I do everything to Jeannie. Jeannie goes to try to go to Tank, a guy from Detroit, big weightlifter, nice guy, not a killer, just a big, strong black guy. And my friend Daryl Johnson steps in, Butch, and tells Tank, mind your fucking business, or you ain't going to be able to walk out of this jail. And Tank knows he ain't going to be fucking with Butch. Butch is a serious guy. Strong guy, 6 foot, in death row, this, that, the other. So Tank stepped back and ignored everything. Then we told Jeannie, okay, from now on, you open your mouth, you're going to have a problem in here. From that point, I made GQ go into Jeannie's cell. He used to keep his locker open, and GQ took 61 books of stamps and told Jeannie, I took it, what are you going to do about it? After that, I had James Perry throw a chair at Jeannie, slap at Jeannie, and I told James Perry afterwards, I'm the one that stopped him, and I took James Perry in the phone room. And he's like, you're the one that told me to do it. Why are you threatening me? After that, I had Mark Giuliani step to Jeannie in the yard. Now, I don't get props because Jeannie was 50 years old. I'm not trying to be a tough guy saying did this, but Jeannie broke our rules. If it was anywhere else, he should have got hurt real bad for what he did and on the street killed. If Cosa Nostra was what it used to be. Hey, everybody out there. For people that don't know, I have a Patreon channel that you can subscribe to, please. And we'll talk about content that is not out on YouTube. It's exclusive. We'll cover Q&A on a regular basis once a month. We sell my baseball bats and they're autographed, and we will talk about content that you won't hear anywhere else but here on Patreon. Thank you, everybody. Please reach out and subscribe. Thank you. But for the people who want to know what we did with Jimmy now, because Jimmy mentioned a couple of names, Jimmy Calandra. Me, Patty Delarusso, and Mike Spinelli stepped to Jimmy in his cell, and we told him, listen, punk, if you don't act like a man, you better check in, or we're going to give you a beating and a half in here. He was crying hysterical, not crying, crying hysterical, a young kid that throws a tantrum. Ran out of the cell, went at Jeannie on the top tier, was slapping at him, swinging at him, and Jeannie was going, pushing him back, going, kid, relax. What's going on, kid, just relax. He couldn't even make sense of him because he was crying so hard. Then Jeannie looked at us, and me, Patty, and Mikey was smiling. And because the reason why we did this to Jeannie is because he's caused incidents, and he tried to cause incidents with Patty Delarusso, with the Pittsburgh guys, who I know the Pittsburgh guys still to today. I said, so when I got to the jail, all that stopped, and we knew what Jeannie was doing. And Patty's a pretty fucking smart guy. He's no dummy. And for the people that don't know, he used to say back in, when he first seen me, I don't know how you're not jammed up with these big mouth Gottis all the time. So for the people who don't want to know the real history, that was the history of what happened there. And after that, Sal De Laurentiis opened his mouth, and I took him in the snow. I flipped him up, and he says, I'll have you killed. And I flipped him up and put his face in the snow. Now, again, he's 50-something years old. Not a big deal. I don't get props. I'm a 30-something-year-old strong guy. I'm boxing every day with Mark Verdi, with Warren, with another guy, Ricky from Boston. Anybody who was there, Patty Delarusso used to get on the bags all the time. There was a group of us that would hit bags and box and go in a back room and stuff. So when guys are talking any different that don't have knowledge, that is by name, each guy. And I can get into the handball competitions and, and the other fights. But this embarrassment that Jeannie brought to not just the jail, but to the Gambino family, and he tried to think he's going to outwit Patty, who's pretty smart, actually, or Mikey Spinelli that he made fun of and said that he was a dope, and he accused him that nothing happened when he was in a bathroom with a gas pipe, and everybody knows this story, so I'm not hiding. I'm not saying something that's out there that's a secret. They straightened the guy out in the bathroom because gas pipe said they were going to straighten him out. So, when Jeannie wanted to question and cause all this dissension in the jail. This is what he got for it. And, you know, I'm giving you guys a very short version in my book, Mafia International. It says more. And when Jimmy says he never slapped him, well, he doesn't want to say it because he's paranoid he's going to get killed. You know, that's the kid. He's a parent, and he doesn't want to say he was hysterical crying. But like I said, everybody was there. You can't change, you know, guys keep trying to change the history and reality of what happened in that joint. It can't happen. There's too many people there. The Shea brothers were there. Everybody was there.
Why do you think ultimately, you know, in your opinion, Jimmy's calling you out?
Well, and for the people that, you know, don't understand the rest of this, and I'll finish it up with this. When you're a gangster, you got to have 3 qualities. I said it on another interview, and I'll say it again. I'll repeat it. You have to be intelligent. The guy's a nitwit dummy. Second, you got to be a moneymaker. The guy is penniless back then. He's penniless now. He's a nitwit that can't make $1. The third thing, you got to be a killer or a shooter. He's none of those either. Look at his track record. He never killed anything but a harmless housewife woman. And then fourth, he decided to rat. So he only was on the street a couple of years when he was a kid, and then he wanted to rat. Now, he's mad that I was in a picture with Joey Calco. That's too bad. I don't answer to him. When I change my life, I don't do it by words, I do it by actions. If this dummy doesn't want to change his life, that's on him. But I changed my life. Now, when I say I changed my life, serious men that were in that picture with me, and that's Tabita. You guys all know who it is because you write me like crazy. He put the picture up. Tabita's a tough guy, killer. Fabi is, Cookie is, and they're like my brothers now. They were my enemies. These guys change your life. I changed my life. They're intelligent. They're successful. I'm successful. We move on with our life. When we said we're going to move on it, we all shook our hands and we were nice to each other and we became like brothers with each other. So for the people that think, and I'll say it again, I've mentioned them on the shows before, we're gentlemen. We moved our lives in a different direction. We're capable of doing that. But if a guy's not capable of doing that, then you shouldn't have ratted. And if you can't make $1 and this is all you have to do, and you want to start trouble and you want to talk about Larry Mazza or anybody else. So when guys like Jimmy are talking about Larry Mazza, we're all friends. All of us, there's 30 guys, 24 guys, all of us that were involved with every family that moved on with their lives, intelligent enough to be successful, do different things. You know, all of us advocate for each other. We don't go against each other. And unfortunately, when Sammy Gravano puts this kid on his show because he wants to show that he's like a little toy monkey that'll do anything he wants, and he'll tell him bark and he'll bark and he'll laugh and he'll make fun of him. This is Sammy's fault because he was at one time an underboss. He knows better than to put this dummy on and justify him and then make fun of him so he can boost his ego that he's the underboss of the Gambino family at one time. You know, so he did this. He caused this. We understand that. All the rest of us understand what he did. He had no business putting this dopey kid on his show just to abuse him and talk about how he shook him down. He doesn't know him because I was in Cleveland with this kid. And this kid, when he was in Cleveland, Sammy called me up and says, who is this kid? Because my daughter's there. I just want to make sure she's all right. I said, Sammy, don't worry. Your daughter's fine. I know the kid. He says, he's not going to do it. He's harmless. So we did a charity together. Also, this kid, yeah, and this is his track, it keeps mentioning Chris Pacello. Chris Pacello is a very successful guy. I don't care what he did before. I don't know him from back then. I talked to him a handful of times. But the guy's very successful. So you got to say to yourself, why doesn't Chris Pacello help this kid? Why doesn't he help him make 2 cents? So there's a reason why his own friends or ex-friends won't do anything for the kid. That he's a pauper and he runs around like this nonsense and he keeps talking about all of us. Now, he's mad at me because I took a picture. Well, if I'm talking to guys that were witnesses against me before, and I'm talking about serious killers like Tabita and Cookie and Fabi and guys that were against me at one time, we were at war with each other. And we're killing each other and killing each other's friends. And we all shake hands like gentlemen and say, we're done with this life. Then obviously, when it's not words, it's by our actions, we're living a different way. But if he's not capable of doing that, then you should have killed Joey Calco years ago, but you never killed nothing but a woman. So you're trying to impress people or you're trying to get likes because you want to talk about me now. You want to talk about me? Why are you talking to me? You're the same guy, Jimmy Calandra, that are liking the picture of Joey Calco when he's in the gym. All over Instagram. You're the same guy that put a picture up of you hitting a heavy bag. You better give up hitting a heavy bag. It doesn't even hit back. You look like a dummy. You can't even throw a punch. So when guys are talking like this and acting like tough guys, if you were that tough guy, You would have been a Tabita in your day. You weren't. You would have been a Cookie in your day. You weren't. You would have been a Fabi in your day. You weren't. You would have been a Joey Calco in your day. You weren't. You would have been a Larry Mazur in your day. And you weren't. We all know, because we all know each other from every crew and every family. We're all friends. People see pictures around of all of us together. And all of us say the same thing. We're band together. We respect each other. We moved on with our life. We're gentlemen. And we don't want to deal with this nonsense with some little half-assed kid trying to get important by talking about all our names. Now, you're mad at me because I took a picture with somebody. It's too bad. And if you wanted to do something, like I said, you shouldn't have checked yourself in solitary confinement in McKean before you ratted. You could tell that story somewhere else. All these guys were in a jail with us. You asked the guard to put you in solitary confinement because we checked you, and you were scared of Jeannie after that. And you're scared today of Jeannie because you think somebody's going to kill you because you're paranoid. And by the way, you're out there talking still on day and night. This life, I know better than anybody. So I know you live in Rockaway now. I know where you're at. I'm not going to put your address out there. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you, listen, go live your life. Be a gentleman. Go apologize for that woman you killed into her family, the mother she was, harmless, innocent. And tell everybody else, you never killed nobody, buddy. You're not a shooter. And for the people who question me, go read Forbes magazine. That's factual. That's the government talking about me. That's the agents talking about me. That's a renowned writer, Richard Baha, that's talking about me. And that's ex-gangsters that are talking about me in that article. It's 40 pages. Just take your time and go read it. You don't have to hear from me anymore. You can get facts. Those are facts, checked out facts about what I did with my life. And guys like Larry Mazur, they're intelligent. Just listen to the way they talk, and then you'll understand the difference between a guy that has no connections with guys. And if there's 3 dozen of us or 2 dozen of us, why doesn't any of us from every crew, some guys are ex-bosses, skippers, this, that, made guys, nobody talks to the kid. Why? I give you the reason why. When a friend of ours, Sal, took Jimmy in his house, made him money, put him in his house because he was homeless, the guy wrote text messages to his wife trying to sleep with her. And the wife told Sal finally, I got to be honest with you, here's the text messages. I keep asking you to throw this guy out, and you're sticking up for him against me, your wife. And this is the reason why. Also, my friend Mike from Florida, Jimmy tried to contact his wife and started writing her text messages. And my friend Mike said the same thing. Who you think you're talking to? Jimmy tried to get tough over the phone. Now, Sal slapped the shit out of him. Jimmy had a chance to do something. He didn't do anything. Instead, he went home. He went on a telephone, and he became a telephone tough guy. And now he's doing it to Joey Calco. You're writing him on Instagram. You're liking all his pictures, and then you want to talk like a tough guy. You had 30 years to kill him. And then, on top of that, he's got problems with his girl. So his girl told him that she knows me and we're talking to each other. And then Jimmy says to me, I said, Jimmy, listen, I'm not going to play these games. This is a year and a half ago. I'm in Florida at the time. And then Jimmy checked. I go, check my pictures and you'll see where I am. And he's seen I was a picture. He says, oh, I'm sorry. It's just she's trying to make me jealous. And when Jimmy first came home, and we'll close it at this, he's not no childhood friend of mine. I'm not Chris Pacello. I have no allegiance to this kid. I don't even know him. He asked me to get him a job. I got him a job in Pittsburgh. My friend Gabe got him a job, and he tried to screw him. And then he didn't go to work. And then he tried to rob him. That's Jimmy Calandra. Now, Jimmy, you wanted us to put this out. I'm never going to address a thing you say about me again because you're trying to get popular off of using my name. You know, so for people that can't see that, I'm sorry, you can't see it. I just rounded it all up for you. Just go point by point by point, and you'll see it all leads to the same thing. And if you don't like the way I talk on this show, I guess don't listen. But the guys that you do like, maybe you like Anthony Ruggiano, whose father was the boss. Ask him. If you don't like Anthony Ruggiano, listen to Larry Mazur on his show. If you don't like him, listen to Gunner on his show in Detroit. If you don't like him, listen to Anthony Alite. I can tell you because we all try to help each other in our life now. We're all doing things together. We're doing shows together. And maybe, lastly, I'm going to round this up. Maybe Jimmy's mad because we're doing a project, a 10-part series, and I won't invite him on. And also, I won't invite him on the show. And he asked to go on the show, and he tried to go through my friend Gene until Gene got locked up. And I refused it. And I refused it for one reason. He killed a woman. I'm not going to take a guy that killed a woman and put him on my show, especially a guy that claims he was very religious and he regrets his life. And he's talking like this. And he's never came out on all these shows he's doing. I don't know how many he's doing. He's nonstop talking on his shows. Did he ever say, I'm so sorry to this woman. I'm so sorry to the family. Can I talk to anybody in the family? No, he hasn't. Instead, he's attacking Joey Calco because what are you jealous of? Because the guy changed his life and he's got a good life? Or you talking about any of our friends? Any of us, if we were in the past, can swat him away anytime we felt like it. I says, and none of us want it. We just want him away from us. He's a child. He acts like a kid. He's ignorant. He's not intelligent. And that'll round it up for everybody for the story. And my book, Mafia International, will explain that jailhouse story.
Well, I think that that addresses it.
Thank you, guys. Anybody want to question that? Call on Patreon, and I'll answer your questions.
Yeah, we already, and for people out there, we're going to be posting our Patreon call-in, which features, obviously, John going in depth into some other questions that people had about this particular case. And again, when you're a member of the Patreon, you get to call in monthly and ask all of your favorite questions.
On all my sites, people are calling. On my Messenger, on my Facebooks, on my Instagram. I cannot answer those questions. It would take me 24 hours a day. If there was 60 hours a day, I couldn't do it. And it would be 7 days a week. So we're asking you, if you're really interested in these questions or any question, get on Patreon, join our Patreon, and I promise I'll answer any question. We don't rush you off the phone. If anybody listens to Patreon, they'll tell you. And we're going to have Larry Mazur on to explain and his end of this. Sal sent us the text messages. Like I said, they'll be on there. My friend Mike. So we're not going to let this guy try to bring everybody into a negative forum, because we're trying to stay on a positive forum, do the right thing with kids, the future, tell some stories. Hopefully everybody enjoys them. Try to keep them as honest as possible so you guys can check. And for the people that hate and are jealous and envious, I guess the Roy's going to act like that. If you don't like us, don't listen to us. Go choose another guy. But when you listen and you just want to hate and you're a negative person, we're not feeding into that. We're done with that.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, johnalite.com if you want signed merch. And I think that sums it up.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate listening and appreciate the following and support. Thanks.